If you vote the 7 candidates in, I'll tell you, we will make life very hard for your PAP ministers and PAP MPs. If you vote SDP tomorrow, you're telling the government, Singapore belongs to you, it belongs to me, it does not belong to the PAP and the Lee family. And that's why I say Singaporeans have a very serious decision to make tomorrow. If you want to continue to live your lives in this struggle, in this misery, then go ahead, vote the PAP. But if you want to change, if you want someone to stop the PAP in its tracks, who do you vote for? I have just received a letter, Singaporeans, from a very concerned Singaporean. Now, a few nights ago, I understand that Mr. Lee Hsien Loong had read out an email to his crowd at his rally, an email that basically praised him for the progress package. Tonight, I have a letter here, and as Mr. Lee Hsien Loong had read it out, so shall I. Lend me your ears. It says, and I'll tell you who it's from at the end of it. Dear Siok Chin, it is with much sadness that I am unable to join you and the other speakers on stage. It is even harder not to be there to speak up for my fellow Singaporeans who continue to be oppressed and to be exploited by the heartless policies of the PAP. I don't know of any other country where ministers lavish themselves with $1 million salaries, while the people find life such a struggle and our elderly continue to have to work even though their aching bones cry out for help. This is wrong, very wrong. I have seen the weary faces and the empty eyes of our fellow citizens, and I understand how much they long for some rest. This is why I constantly think about how we can bring justice to Singaporeans whom our government is supposed to serve, but has instead exploited. With the election system and the media controlled by the PAP, it is extremely difficult for Singaporeans to let the PAP know their views. Elections in Singapore are a farce. This is why I strongly believe that we need to reform our political system so that the media will reflect the people's views and not just be the lapdog for the PAP, and so that elections will be an accurate gauge of the people's anger towards the ruling party. At the moment, everything is designed to make the PAP look good and for it to retain overwhelming control of Parliament, regardless of how people feel. But this is also precisely the reason, because our calling openly for the reform of the political system, that the PAP and the media is running this vicious campaign against the SDP, and especially against the SDP. There are hardly any fair reports about our campaign, and even though we have raised many questions that the people are concerned about, and yet it is only too happy to constantly portray the party in disarray so as to make sure that it inflicts maximum damage on the party that calls for reform. But this is why the SDP must persevere and continue to push for reform in our country so that ultimately our people have a true voice in our nation's affairs. I have been made a bankrupt and I have been jailed, but that will not deter me from speaking up for my people. Why? because I was born Singaporean, and I will remain Singaporean till the day I die. People ask me why I don't leave this country and look for a better life elsewhere. If I do that, then the PAP wins. If the PAP wins, the people lose. And I will not let the people lose. I will always be there to fight for them. Always. I thank every one of you for working so hard in this campaign, and I wish my fellow Singaporeans the very best in life. Signed, Chee Soon Juan, Secretary General, SDP. At our rallies, he's here to give us his support. He's here to tell you that he still cares very much for Singaporeans, even though he cannot be up here to fight for you today. Tonight, Singaporeans, tonight we have an important message for you. If you vote for the SDP, you can be sure that the 7 of us will speak up, fight for you, and oppose the PAP's lousy policies.